Hi guys, Dave, the train guy from Hobbyman by Hearns. Today we are going to talk about something that's just recently hit our shelves at both stores, at Hearns and the Hobbyman, and that's the Powerline range of contemporary bogie stock. And what we have got here today is predominantly the ELX open wagon, which is this guy here. And until comparatively recent, this was a pretty, important piece of rolling stock for the Victorian Railways during the later half of the 60s through the 70s into the 80s. Although not really ever seen ever again now, but they still live on, and we'll touch on that a bit later on. And we've got a couple of variations of this, by the way. Yep. And the other piece of rolling stock in a few different variations is the Victorian grain hopper, which has carried a few or a couple of different codes. But anyway, we'll do the unboxing. We'll just go through them, and we'll start with the ELX first. Now this one's already been taken out of the box, but yeah, it's an ELX, so it's the old 3-letter coding, which didn't really mean a whole lot to the average person, but the X on the end denotes the fact that the bogies here could be bogie exchanged either in Melbourne or at Wodonga or in Peterborough. Because we had the breaker gauge issues that weren't completely resolved during the 60s and then into the 80s, sometimes it was necessary for the whole wagon to be actually put onto electric jacks within a shed, lifted up, and a new set of bogies rolled under and reconnected up with airlines and such. So hence the word X. So if you're an interstate modeler and you're not aware of this fact, you model New South Wales or if you're a New South Wales modeler, modeling anywhere from the 60s through into the 80s, you can actually have these running around on your layout. Just remember the 3-letter code disappeared pretty much around about 1979. There was a national change to go to a 4-letter code. But anyway, as you can see, it's obviously unboxed. It is a pretty nice piece of rolling stock. It's detailed, and the thing I like about this, and a lot of you guys out there would like, is the fact that it's detailed, but it's not over detailed. You won't have a deciduous model with bits falling off it all the time. So as you can see, it's got some fairly nice underfloor detail. The ends are pretty good. You've got an uncoupling bar, you've got a shunting step, and obviously grab irons. Now I'll just see if I can bring that up a little bit. No, you probably, hopefully in that view you can see that. Spinning that around. Yeah, and it's got the miner style type brake wheel rather than the ratchet handle. So us VR guys and Australian models will know what that's all about. Obviously it's got Katie's couplings. They look like genuine Katie's couplings because it's got the little spring in it and they're metal. But that's the ELX, so that's the first one down. And something I didn't point out too, you obviously get the little tarp supports. Get it into focus, Dave. Yeah, there we go. And they would plug into here and here. So no interior detail, so probably a suggestion is either you could create a tarp or possibly put a tractor or something there, or a forklift, or some 44-gallon drums, which you can always buy from house. Get on the track, you. Okay, first one down. Anyway, we'll take one out of the box. This is a slight variation on the theme. This is a later version of the same style of wagon. Now, as you'll notice, it's with the V-line signage, which came into being around about 1983. It was a corporate change from being the government-owned Victorian Railways to still the government-owned, but more corporatised V-line. And this particular wagon doesn't have any doors, as you'll see. Reason being is these were especially purposed for the role of carrying slab steel, massive big blocks of grey steel, which would have been produced in Port Kembla by BHP, railed down to Albury. They would have been lifted by gantry cranes, plonked into there. Because of the breaker gauge issue at Melbourne Yard, they had to be done in Albury Yard, and then railed down to Melbourne, and then on down to Hastings, down past down near Mornington, to the BHP factory to basically be rolled into sheet metal to be used in ColourBond or cars when we had a car industry, and then shipped on to Adelaide. So for us VR guys, that's a bit of a treat. Yeah. Now, again, same wagon, this time back with the doors and 4-letter coding, which VOCX, and it's just a plated section there for the V-Line logo. All right, now the really good stuff is the grain hopper, the GJF. Now these were built late 60s, early 70s. Or actually, I think these versions were actually built from about 72 because they're all steel. They were always painted brightly yellow until later in their lives. And obviously, you don't have to guess what they're used for. They're actually designed for carrying grain from around regional Victoria, predominantly mainly out in the western districts, then shipping it either to port down or rail down to Portland or down to the docks in Melbourne most of the time. This particular version, GJF, the F denoting that it's not to be bogey exchanged and it's for fast goods running in Victoria. And this is, again, a really nice model. It doesn't have a lot of added on detail in one sense, but the detail that is here is actually quite strong and sufficient. Actually, the catwalk is a nice etch, and I know this won't do it justice, but it's a nice etched sort of a catwalk. Lots of brake detail there. Get it right, don't I? Yeah, lots of brake reservoirs. Obviously, because it's a grain hopper with chutes on the bottom, all this braking equipment couldn't be located to the bottom, so it's mounted on the end here. And again, Katie's couplings, and they have got these nice, super smooth rolling bogies. So really got to be it's really got to be amended for saying such a good model. And you even got brake hoses. That's something I didn't probably point out before. Yeah, it's got brake hoses. Yeah, where are we? Yeah, I know you can't probably see it, but there we go. Anyway, we've got that issue. That's available either with the VR 1970s logo and the original 3-letter coding. They also released the same one again, VR logo, but 4-letter coding, post 1979. And the more contemporary from about 1983, 4-letter code, which is the VHGF. Now, there is some logic in that. V meaning Victoria, H meaning hopper. I'm not too sure what the G means, but the F means it was restricted to freight speed and wasn't to be bogey exchanged. That's my understanding. And you also got these little reflector spots, so denoting it's more of a contemporary period wagon. Now, they're actually really well priced, super smooth, run well, Katie's couplings, and we have stocks of them here. One thing I have noted too is that I don't think I've ever seen a grain train in Victoria that wasn't absolutely plastered in graffiti. So if you want to wear them, I would seriously recommend it if you want an authentic looking wheat train. Now, because of their good price, they are selling well. And if you do want a block wheat train, which is normally how they ran, it'd be an easy, cheap way to do it, as opposed to doing it by kit, which would be time-consuming and a time-consuming process, obviously. Yeah, and adding on all the extra details. So they really are that good value for money models. If you'd like any of these, you can order them online via Hobbyman or by Hearns online or Hobbyman online, or you can visit us in store. And any order over $100 is postage free throughout Australia. Other than that, there you go. Some contemporary Victorian rolling stock, and some of that can be used interstate if you're an interstate modeler, or if you just like the look of them, you can just order them anyway. It's your railway. Anyway, that's it for now, and happy modeling, and until next time, ciao.